Why not?
Well, welcome into a very exciting episode of Get Better Together. I am back with my co-host Jamie. Jamie, it's been a while. How you doing?
Good. It has been a while. Holy Hannah. Oh, I've been doing good. How about you, Bubba?
I've been doing very, very well. We haven't had much time to catch up in the last few months. Both of us busy as can be in our own worlds, us winning awards and going on tour, and you dealing with some crazy business stuff. Do you mind getting into a little bit of it just to kind of like start the show with that so people have a frame of reference for what they're about to hear?
Oh gosh, sure, I guess. Yeah, it's been just an interesting couple months, Our local city chose to lease space in on public land to a single business. And it just wasn't really thought out. It was really pushed through really fast. And it happened to affect me because it was right across the street, but it was a business that's doing the exact same thing as I am. They have a drive-through coffee house, and it's bigger than people thought. I mean, it's just a lot different than I think what was originally thought of, and I did have the city help me through economic development back years ago, and it was brilliant. I mean, we worked together with a lot of people. We made sure that my project was in line with um, economic growth and not just a little economic growth. Like this is big economic growth, right? And I was held accountable to a lot of things. That's not how this worked, and it was really weird the things that were happening. So anyways, that was my big thing. And so yeah, I've been dealing with kind of the feeling of that, and also just yeah, I mean, it's not just the feelings, but the effects of it, and then standing up for yourself in a way that was kind and considerate. But people really, I mean, took sides, which I didn't realize that there was needing to be taking sides, right? So that brings up a whole nother thing and a whole nother level of transition in my own body and grief and I don't know. It was weird. So that's where I'm at.
Right. Well, and you kind of, I mean, not burying the lead necessarily, but your ex-husband is the mayor of the small town.
Now, yeah. So when he took mayorship, all of this happened very fast. And so, and it wasn't just that, like they put a coffee shop directly across the street. So competing with me. And then I got letters in the mail that my signage no longer fit into the ordinance and that needed to be taken down. And now I'm dealing with trying to get a tenant in my downstairs. I have a 3-story building, right? And the downstairs, and it's the exact same business, but they need to get a license from the city. And so it's been over a month, and the city is making them sit down with them and go over some stuff. So it's like things that were not a problem before are now a problem. So you don't want to think it has anything to do with my ex-husband, but I mean, literally, like one after another, right? And you're just like,
I just yeah, I just don't understand how anyone looking at it from the outside, because that was my first thing. It's just like none of this was even on your radar in February, and then an election happens, and then shortly thereafter, all of a sudden it feels like, every single person in the town who once supported you all of a sudden is kind of turning their swords at you and making an enemy of you for expressing a concern that I think any business owner would express if certain advantages were being given to another competing local business, right? I mean, I'm sure, and I don't even know the businesses that are in lead anymore, sadly. It's been so long, but I mean, it would be, I guess the grocery store is a great example, right? You have one grocery store in town that kind of serves multiple towns. It would be like the city giving a bunch of money and advantages to another grocery store that's in the old Alco building, right? And maybe you don't remember
right.
that far back in lead, but like
Yeah,
it was like
no, I mean,
literally
yeah,
next door in the same building, they're going to give these advantages to another girl. Like it just doesn't, it doesn't make sense, right? And it
yeah,
didn't.
and I, yeah. I reached out, I mean, to my, so I hold economic development money, right? And that my building was built off of economic development money. And so I reached out to my people and I said, my investors, I said, this is happening. And they're like, James, it's not going to pass. There's no way that that's going to pass. There's no way that that's going to happen. They can't do that. It's fine line. I mean, it's just not going to happen. It did. And now they're all, holy crap. Well, now, I mean, I've gotten calls from legislation, I've gotten calls from the higher ups in the state, and they're working on, making things change. And I'm not really going to go over that until it all kind of goes through, but I learned a lot. I learned if I go after the city, right, and I sue them for some of the things that they've done, they can use insurance money. So I learned that, there's ways of doing things, right? If they come after me, then that's okay because then I'm not just throwing money at something and they're getting to use insurance money, right? I didn't know that that could even happen. So I've learned a lot from some of these lawyers and some of these people that I've been working with about like the greater and grander picture of how small towns, small rural communities get away with a lot of things that they shouldn't, and call it economic development, right? And so actually there was just in legislation, there's just a bill passed to hold government officials like accountable. And so that actually came in effect July 1st. So we'll see kind of what happens with that bill and like all of that kind of came through. And I was called about that. And hey, James, we've got another leg up. This is what's happening. And so it's very interesting to watch, though. It's very interesting. And it's really interesting how people react, right? Because I've got a lot of support. I mean, my business is thriving. It's still thriving. Was there grief in that? Absolutely. Was there grief that my ex-husband had reached out to me and said, hey, stop, don't go after this, don't go after the city, blah, blah, blah. I have it all recorded because I was like, dude, I just don't trust you anymore. Literally days before this all went through, he and said they're going to release me and you do a reach out or whatever. And I said, no, I can't do that. I'm not doing that. I think you'll be fine. Rise above it, whatever. And then all of this crap goes through. What? Like you seriously contacted me to support you and you're not even supporting me.
Right. Well, and I mean, if those are that close, and I didn't know necessarily the timeline of things, but like, is it almost a retaliation for you not sticking up for him when he called you and asked you for these things, and then when he gets the power, then right, that he kind of comes back after you, and I don't know that we could ever really like prove that, but once again, from the outside, like
Mhm.
it
But I
seems.
think, and that's with this show. Like I really, how I've dealt with it and how I've had to kind of come back home to myself, right? Because we can make up all the stories that we want to, right? We know the fact is that it passed. We know that, yes, he is the mayor. We know that he is the one, and I know this to be true, is that he's the one who put out the kind of movement about my signs. And these signs have been up for 2 years, right? And so he did state that he did that. And so I know that there's some that I can say, yes, this is truth. This is a fact, right? But there's a lot of story, right, that we can make up. And I think it's super important for us, Bubba. I think it's a lesson to be learned for others. Do you give a lot of energy to people like that may or may not have vendettas against you? And how are you going to use that energy? Well, for me, I'm going to use that energy to better my business, right? I'm not going to put it into the city. They then want to and go and how say my are going to have to stand look the look that you're not even going by the ordinance of your own state.
All right, we're back after a little internet technical difficulties, or maybe it was the universe telling us to move on as well. But I think what you were touching on there about giving our energy to things that aren't serving us, I think that's a really interesting topic because I've kind of lived that with my ex who I have a child with, my oldest boy, Judah, that she loves to engage in drama, right? Like her life is drama and chaos and all of these things. And, since I got out of prison back in 2018, we've been fighting to be a part of Judah's life and to be back out, with him and, arranging custody and visitations and all of these things. And when I had first gotten out, it was like, oh, you need to open this line of communication again, right? Oh, you need to be open and you need to communicate and to do all those things. And all it ever did was open the door to her being able to just stab us, right? To just take jabs at us all the time
Mhm.
and then responding to that and then being trapped in this negative space, causing fights with my wife at home and all of it, right? That comes from kind of engaging with that negative energy. And once we finally kind of like established parameters, and granted, it took protection orders. It took somebody telling her, you cannot do this anymore, right? But from that point, it's allowed me to not engage with it. And I had stopped engaging with it quite a time before that, right? Which was why she maybe started reaching out to people that I work with or clients of, right? Like, because I was no longer
Mhm.
engaging with it, you were trying to find a circuitous route to doing it, which I mean, like, it feels very familiar, doesn't it? Right.
Yeah,
I guess that's
right.
why I kind of sympathize with the situation you're in now, is that like you give someone with that inclination towards that negative energy any kind of leeway, and they're going to take it and run with it. And the more you feed into it, the stronger they get. But when you cut them off, right? It's almost like a parasite. Like if the host is dead or is no longer, engaging with you, then you lose your power as well. And I feel like that's kind of what it's the process you're living in right now. And no better kind of, embodiment of that because of your non-engagement. Now you are able to now you're able to turn around and to go to the positive, right? And I know you got a lot of really positive things that are happening for you as well. I don't know necessarily as a cause of the that was caused by these things happening, but it sure is unique timing overall to hey, things were kind of falling apart for you in this one location, but that it's now opened up this incredibly beautiful opportunity for you in a wholly new location, of which, wasn't even on your radar probably weeks ago.
Right. Yeah. I lost you for a little bit. Sorry about that. And I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or what's happening. Um,
It's everybody trying to flood into the coffee shop, right? And to get
right.
a taste because they feel what's coming as well.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, but I have so much opportunity right now. I mean, I got asked to go to Spearfish. And I think that might have been what you were talking about. I mean, and just choosing to dive into the business and not dive into maybe the storytelling or any of that, and really looking at it is the universe isn't out to get me, it's there for me. So everything is here for me. Does that make sense?
Right.
And I think that if we look at things like that and we look at the world like that, how do we teach that, Bubba? Like how do we, because for so many years I engaged in the what ifs and I was caught even catching myself. I was living in the past or the future. I wasn't in the present moment. And I think now I'm learning and I'm like, oh, wait, I can actually be here and be in the present moment and work towards like another goal and not even allow the drama or the dramatization, is that what it's called? Um, of what might be. I don't know how to even explain it kind of out of this
Well,
world.
and I don't want to take credit for it because I can't, but I definitely, it was a feeling that I had, right? Because all of this stuff was happening that it didn't feel like a person, it didn't feel like a human thing, right? It felt bigger than that. It was like, man, all of
Mhm.
this stuff couldn't be happening at one time. Like no human is capable of that good of planning, right?
Right.
Especially evil people. So it always felt like maybe there was something different at play. And I know in one of our conversations, I brought it up to you that like, hey, have you ever considered selling the property and lead? And maybe you're being pulled somewhere else. And even at the time, you're like, well, no, that couldn't be. No.
Right.
And then
Right.
3 weeks later, right, you're like, well, maybe it is.
Maybe it is. Yeah, I got that opportunity in Spearfish, and I've known it has existed, but I mean, there's 44 acres out there. It's going to be medical facilities and other things, and they said, Jane, we want you here. We won't sell to any other coffee shops. We want you here. And so they're working with me. They gave me prime location, and I'm like, why not? Why would I not look into that? Why would I not give that space or energy, right?
But maybe why you wouldn't have before was because things were going in your mind so well at your location and lead, right? You're looking
Right,
at your business, you're like, hey, we're above water, places are rented, we are engaged in the community is engaged with us, everything is going very well. And it's
right.
hard to want to pivot in those moments. Right?
Yeah.
It's really hard when things are going well to be like, okay, well, where's our pivot? Because we're so used to pivoting when things aren't going well that you think that that's the only time that a pivot is necessary. But sometimes the pivot can be an even greater opportunity. Yes, things are going very well, and you've done a fantastic job of building up Lotus up in lead for the last decade, but maybe it's time for the company to grow and evolve and obviously a move into a much larger community that is growing, right? It's not,
Yeah.
it's not breeding more competition and destroying its town in the name of economic development, right? It's actually
Right,
growing. It's actually bringing new residents into it and not slowly shrinking like the town of Lead is, right?
right.
So, maybe everything, we say everything happens for a reason, but truly, without the negative energy coming at you, do you think that you ever pursue that opportunity, right? Like you said, you knew this thing
Yeah.
was out there, and even possibly that the offer had been extended prior, but that because of the positive energy that you're living in, that you never really even consider it.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I mean, that's exactly what was happening is I was doing the day to day and I was navigating and everything was fine. I mean, I literally went on a vacation to go see my friend in Arizona, and when I came back, it was like a bomb had gone off, like I lost my renter, I lost, then this stuff with the city, and then I mean one right after another, and I was like, what is going on? Like, and then my friend reached out again. She's like, Jam, like I have this opportunity for you. And I couldn't believe it. Economic development in Spearfish was amazing. I have been working with SBA, Donna Fisher there, and she's amazing. And working with the owners of the land. I mean, it has been so beautiful and they're so kind. The meetings are so incredible about growth and true economic development. They are actually looking at the ecosystem, right? And that's something that I feel is missing at times here in the community of Lead is that we're not looking at the bigger picture, right? And I think Spearfish is. I think Spearfish is looking at the whole and how that ecosystem is going to provide opportunities for the people that are willing to invest in it. And that is it's so reassuring, right? It's sometimes I think diversity is really good. And but then I think sometimes, like also having those conversations with like-minded people is also really good. And it really feeds your soul when people are they can actually hear you when you're talking. They listen to understand and not to respond. Um, and they're just well educated and well-rounded humans.
Right, which we can struggle to find in small rural communities sometimes. And unfortunately for, the town of Lead, they're going to lose a really great advocate for the town of Lead. Like, and in a lot of ways, kind of has. I think 6 months
Yeah.
ago, you would have been one of the biggest supporters of the city of Lead government and everything that they had done for you, for the town. And now that that whole perception has been changed, I mean, you are a little bit of a tastemaker for the community, right? Like you are a pillar of that community. It's going to be a shame when you're no longer there, right?
Right.
And it's unfortunate for them because they won't see that until you're gone, right?
Yeah, and I
And they
think, I
won't
mean, I
know that.
even, yeah, and I even made the decision that I'm actually moving my home as well. Like I'm moving out of this community as well. And
And when what
and
reason do you have to stay, right?
yeah,
And as someone who has lived in the area myself and maybe not have dealt with the same situation, but I have a reputation that precedes me. Our fans know this. That you know, I don't think people will ever look at me differently than they did at my lowest point, right?
right.
And that's why I probably don't come back to visit a whole lot. I don't necessarily make it a big deal when I come back. There's a few people that I come back to see, but there's a reason, I guess the mantra that, you'll never be famous in your hometown exists, right? You're never going to be that person. And that's why I'm very happy to have a community now in Tyndall, in a totally different town than where I grew up, that I was kind of able to put on a new man, right? I was allowed to do
Yeah.
that. And I kind of needed a new community to be that different person. And nobody here is judging me for the sins of the past, right? Or the sins of the family. Or and I'm using sin in a very like non-religious biblical way,
Yeah.
and more as a figure of speech, but it's what can we be outside of our community? And that's why I'm really excited about you stepping into a city as vibrant as Spearfish is right now. It's so much growth and so many people are coming from out of state, which has its cons as well, right? I know property values in Spearfish are skyrocketing. I mean, it's a big reason why Danielle and I moved several years ago out to the east side of the city, because we already couldn't afford it, right? We already couldn't afford it working the jobs that we were at to live out there. But Spearfish is becoming a very affluent, a very artsy community. And I think that Lotus Up and your vision and everything that you are fits over there so much better than really maybe you ever did in the community of Lead.
Yeah, I definitely feel that as well. I mean, I kind of made my space here in Lee just because that's where I was, and I was married to somebody that was from this community. But yeah, I never truly really fit in, right? I mean, let's be honest. I'm a little out there.
Jamie, the fact that you and I get along as well as we do is evidence enough of not fitting in, right? Like I don't fit in that community either.
Yeah, and like I was such a supporter of this community, right? And I've been a lead advocate for a long time, and and helping the growth and just seeing a rural community and how we could drive drive connection and these things that I felt like this community was lacking when I got here. And I think what I was here for, I completed. You know what I mean? Um, I did bring a sense of community. I oh gosh, I keep saying but um I just I
You
found
should take
unity.
some credit for it though. And I know you're going to include the team and you're going to make it a we thing, but you also, Jamie, most of this is from your mind, right? Most of this is a visionary thing from you. And that's what I think is is lacking in a lot of small communities is people that are visionaries, and not just visionaries for themselves, but for the community as a whole.
Right.
And
And
they,
yeah,
they don't come around, right? People like me and you, Jamie, just we are not a dime a dozen uh people, right? We are diamonds in the rough. And when a diamond isn't being cared for properly, then it's time to move on.
right. Well, and these awesome quotes keep on coming up for me, and these memes about, you don't change the flower, you change the environment that it's growing in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, right? It's not the flower's fault, it's the environment that it's growing in. And I think that has been the last couple of years. I actually just saw this memory 4 years ago. I was ready to throw in the towel here and lead, honestly, and sell my business. And I got an amazing offer back then. And I was ready to do it, but something in my gut just said not yet, and I couldn't pull the trigger. And so I find myself again 4 years later in the same spot. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting, And I always think back like if I would have, right? Woulda, coulda, shoulda. But I am grateful for where I am now and thinking, okay, like let's move forward from what we have, and making this decision. I have a date set that things will kind of shift, and I'm nervous about that too, right? And but it's happening, and it's wild. Like it's so wild.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it. And it's just because I know you're someone who appreciates the planning phase, and you probably plan a little bit longer than you should, a lot longer than I would. And so to have like this short time frame to work in, I'm sure is super stressful for you, right? To kind of have this shortened time frame to where this stuff wasn't even on your radar a month ago, right? Or 2 months ago. Uh,
Yeah.
and now it is a fully fledged plan, and this is happening and moving. And it must just feel like it's, one of those bullet trains they have in Japan, right? That it's just, it was gone, it's gone already, and
Right.
and now we're in it, and you don't even realize how fast you're moving because you're in the train, right? You are in it,
Yeah.
and just flying by. And it's very similar to where I'm at in my own in my own business, right? Is that the scene projects a year ago was a thought, right? It was like, hey, I got these microphones. I think this is important. To where like by the end of the summer last year, I was like, I know this is important, right? And I need to pursue this to, fast forward to April of this year. We're winning awards for the podcast. We're being recognized for the work that we did, and we're really taking that the work that we're doing is 100 times more than what we ever did last year. So it's moving faster than I ever thought it would. Now we're able to work with nonprofits like Operation Combating Veteran Suicide. We're raising money for charity, which is a huge part for me, is that I've never been in the entertainment industry to be rich and famous. To be famous, maybe, because the fame gives me access to the things that I want to go do, right? I
Mhm.
love being at concerts, but I don't want the everyman experience. I want to be backstage. I want to be on stage. I want to be in VIP, right? I want that access, right? So this is how I've built it, right? How do you get invited to the parties? Well, you start being the guy that's covering the parties, and lo and behold, the media passes work just as well as VIP does.
Yeah, I love that. God, I love that.
Oh, James, it's good to hear your voice. We haven't gotten a lot of time to catch up because we've just been in it. And that kind of alludes to a little bit bigger, I don't want to say issue, but something in this world, especially in this digital era, where because I see you on Facebook, right? It's not like I haven't seen your face, right? I've seen your post. I know how you're doing. I see things are progressing, but we haven't had time to just sit down and have a conversation for quite some time. And I feel like that coffee shop space for conversations, like that's what it always has been. Can you kind of talk about what having a space, having that space in a new area that is a little more viral, like what about that excites you? Like having more people in the shop and having younger people maybe in the shop because you are in a, moving to a college town. Are there, does that excite you beyond just being something new, but having a really different experience that's going to be at the new location rather than what you've built in Lead?
Yeah, I mean, you've hit it, right? So all these dreams that I've been dreaming up for so long, like having these fun, succulent classes, I've got all the materials, right, that I've been holding in a freaking storage unit for all these amazing things. And there were so many times that I just kind of got turned down or whatever. And I just cannot wait to open up the doors and be able to share with these young people and see what they can do with it. You know what I mean? Like, this is my idea. This is the supplies. What could we do with this? How could we maneuver this? How could we grow this? Or how can we, have a gathering, right? Because through gathering, there's connection. And that's coffee shop, coffee house, always to me has always been about community. It's always been connection and togetherness. And I think that, like, when you even, I got invited to sit on the Get Better Together. It's about the together. It's about the connection. It's about this vulnerability. And I think that this new space could hold that, right? I think it's going to be a space for people to gather. I think it's not just going to be the simple hours of 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. I think it's going to be so much more. And why, or I wasn't able to do the things here in Lead that I wanted to so much because of different things. But
Well,
I think,
and for our listeners that don't really know the areas that we talk about, and I think we get trapped in that a little bit
oh
because
yeah,
we are so intimately involved with these communities, right? So, Leeds, South Dakota, a few thousand people. It was an old gold mining town. That gold mine shut down around 1999, and the town went through a really big shift in itself, right? It used to be a population of almost 4,000,
I
and
think
now
actually, Bubba, it was like 10,000.
right, at
Yep.
certain times, right? And,
Yep.
and I'm kind of judging from when we moved. We moved there just a few years before the mine shut down. So we
Oh,
kind of
gotcha. Okay.
experienced that really busy, bustling town with the mine, and everything kind of revolved around serving the workers and the mine, to now with that gone, what purpose did the town have, right? And really, you just had a few holdouts, families that have been born and raised there that were just like, well, I'm not working at the mine anymore. I'll go work at, maybe another mine, or I'll find another career, right? Um,
Right.
but it really threw the town into a tailspin. And I feel like when you landed there, it was finally maybe finding its feet as a little bit of a hippie mountain town arts and culture kind of space, but it does not have the population to sustain that, right? Like it can do that during the summer because you have the tourist population that infiltrates and you can move around. A little side note about Leeds, South Dakota. It's like number 4 on the list of snowiest places in the United States, right? So it's a little tough to get around in the wintertime. And as such, it's very difficult to run a business there, period. Much less one
Amen.
that relies on heavy foot traffic, right? And like
Right.
yours does. So I want people to understand, like, from that side, it is so freaking commendable that you even ran this coffee shop as a profitable business in the area you have at all, right? Like you are not
Right.
set up by any means to be successful at all, right? And which is why when
Correct.
a competing business is given a lot of advantages, literally like I know you can see the building from your office right now. I mean, that's why it would be such a pain point for you, is like, look, we're barely hanging on to a profit margin as it is with no other competition,
Right.
right?
Yeah. And that's the thing is that I think that's like you said, the pain point, right? It was like, what about the businesses that you have right now? You say that you're all about business, but not one of the commissioners, not one of the people had came to any of the businesses and asked, are you thriving or are you simply surviving? right? That would be my first agenda. If I ever got a commission seat or if I was on anything with the city, that's the first thing that I would have done is take in consideration the businesses that are already existing, right? And no, we have seriously been like surviving. And I've survived for 15 years. I'm going into my 16th year of business. And happy birthday, Lotus Up, actually yesterday. Gave me goosebumps. Holy shit. And so I look back and I just am like, holy smokes. Like, how have I done it? I don't know, Bubba. This town is like, if we don't get snow, we don't have business.
Right,
We
right.
we do not have enough people to sustain a business like mine um, throughout the winter. I mean, during the summer is our time to really bust it out and the fact that I've been able to have employees. I mean, 7 to 9 employees throughout the year and kept them working. During COVID, I kept them working and
You're one of the
I
biggest employers
sacrificed.
in lead, right? Like you top 10 because there's just no businesses. There's
No,
not
I mean,
many businesses, period.
yeah, and thank goodness. I mean, the mine has come in, and the science has come in. So we now have Fermi Lab. We have some of these other people that keep people like employed. I mean, because really Wharf up on the hill, that's another large business that is a huge asset to this community. We've got Lynn's Dakota Mart. Some of these businesses that have made it work. But restaurants, no. I mean, I've watched so many come in and go
Well, and
out.
it's service
Um,
industry, right? Who are you
yeah.
serving? If you're only serving the tourists and the tourists only come during the summer, or if you get big amounts of snow, well, you're putting a lot of stake in your environment kind of running your business, right? And
Right.
that's unfortunately most of the businesses that are up there. Now, let's contrast this with the town of Spearfish, the city of Spearfish,
Yeah.
which isn't much bigger, right? Leads a few thousand people. Spearfish is probably closer to 20,000 now, I would
Yeah.
assume. Um,
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah.
Right. I don't know when the last time they had a real census was to negotiate that, but it's grown substantially in the 20 years since I've graduated high school. It has grown a lot. My dad's a
Right.
landscaper in the area. I see how busy they stay doing mostly new construction, homes, how much that area has grown. And now you find yourself plopping down right in the middle of this development that I think is just a cool idea in the first place. Can you talk just briefly about the town of Spearfish because you would know a little bit more about it than I do now, and then kind of segueing that into specifically the development that Lotus Up is going to be moving into?
Yeah, so Spearfish it's a thriving community, and the college town is there. They've got so much opportunity with not just the college, but also some recreation too, right? There's great hiking trails and stuff around. The
Still
arts
has a
is really
tourist
big.
element to it during the summer.
Yep, yep, absolutely. And their chamber is working on events and different things. I mean, they bring in the Corvette rally and some other things like that. So they do utilize a lot of the events that they're bringing on. It's really yeah, it's a thriving community, and where we're going is off of exit 17. And right now there is Sky Ridge properties, and they're building single family homes. And then where I will be is in the uh, east side of states. And so what's going in there is a surgical center, a med spa, um, another restaurant, like a strip mall, and the Elkhorn Ridge is real close by um, the golf course, and they want to create a 5 minute community, and they're really looking at sustainable living. And so for me, that's right up my alley, right? 5 minute community and community, the word community when they came to
Right.
me. I was like,
Well, and
yes,
and
yes.
then specifically that geographical area needs it because it is several miles from any grocery stores, you have the gas station out there now that's kind of attached to the resort, but historically there's nothing out there. right?
No.
So to just get groceries, you're having to drive down the interstate several miles or down the highway, right? So
Yep. So exit 14 and
geographically,
then
it
exit
cannot be
7.
more perfect because there's going to be, and it sounds like you have some assurances with your business that there won't be another coffee shop going into at least their complex. Whether something crops up, in the future in a different development down there is to be
Right.
seen. But, you really couldn't have fallen into a better spot. And you're kind of not necessarily in the town of Spearfish either, right? So
Right. Yeah,
a
we're
little
kind of
bit
on the
out there.
outskirts. So we're on closer to exit 17, and like where Spearfish really starts is exit 14. And so there's a couple miles in there, but across the interstate from where I will be, and my building will actually be seen from the interstate, which is actually quite exciting for me. So people will be able to see us, but we are right across the street from a new development that I believe they're going to do 50 homes in the first phase, but they have 600 homes planned to go out there. And so, I mean, this is like I get to be a part of this next phase, right? Of this community growing and creating. And that's who I am. I'm a creator. And um, so
No
yeah,
doubt.
I'm hoping that everything goes through and I'm obviously in the beginning stages and hoping that like financing and everything else happens, but here we are. I mean,
It
we're doing the
surely
work.
feels it surely feels that God is working in all of these things, and fortunately for you, you've been aware enough in the moment, right, to come to that present moment and go, okay, well, what is being communicated to me, right? What is the universe trying to tell me here? And that you've listened, because you could fight tooth and nail to stay in lead. You could choose to continue to battle against them and to put all of your chips in against them and to kind of feed that negativity as well. And not that you're not going to fight for your business or and other businesses, right? I think you've been pulled into this fight for a reason. Maybe it is for a future in politics or a commissionership or something of that, because you bring something unique to the table, Jamie. You are a fantastic listener. You ask questions and you listen to people, and I think that's lacking, especially in local city governments, as evidenced by the fact that no one on this board in lead ever came to the businesses and said, "Hey, how do you feel about this?" Right? Even to a non-competing business, like just going to someone who owns a retail shop in lead and to ask them, "Hey, how would you feel about this idea or that idea?" Not just, "Hey, we're doing this and we don't care what you think."
Yeah, pretty much. And we have one person that just got a position in the city, and I'm a little nervous just because if the prize is there, it's like they'll just go for it, right? And it's like, wait, let's slow down. Let's look at the impact of the whole community. Yes, we want to have growth. Yes, we want to have these things. But like you said, Bubba, I'm a planner. And so I'm looking at the whole. I'm looking at everyone that it's going to affect, how it's going to affect, and how do we, for one, hold the community as a whole in growing this business. And I just yeah, this particular one was a little bit hard for me just because obviously it's competing and I'm not seeing
Well, but
I'm not seeing how
if it
overall.
wasn't a competing business in your backyard, do you make the fuss that you do, right? And that's kind of where it's like it is the universe has been speaking this whole time, right? And not necessarily to say, "Hey, Jamie, get the hell out of lead," but to raise awareness of local city government issues that are much
Yeah,
larger than just one business or another, that are really coming down to certain individuals taking liberties with the collective energy, really, right? Like you are making a decision that
absolutely.
affects thousands of people, and you're not even really very well qualified to make that decision, right?
Right.
and
Yep,
and
that's yeah.
go ahead, Jamie.
Well, and that's where I'm at is what about these brick and mortars that are actually paying taxes on their buildings and making huge impact for community, right? And have survived this long. What are you telling them? because it wasn't just about that. It was also about, I brought up awareness around the food trucks. Food trucks are amazing. They're bringing something here to the community that we don't have, right? And so I do think it's a benefit. I really appreciate it. But I also look at, okay, how is it benefiting the town, right? And so when you look at the overall picture, those food trucks get a license or a peddler's license here on Lead, and it's $30, and they get it for the whole month. So that's telling somebody that they can bring in their food truck every day for a month, and
Dollar
it
a
costs
day, man.
them
You
a
can't beat
dollar
that.
a day. Yep. And so as a brick and mortar, I mean, just to have my building here, right, is ridiculously expensive. I pay like
Yeah.
$9,000
I
on
was going to
property.
say, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that you pay a little bit more than a dollar a day in taxes.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And yes, my biggest thing is, okay, what about the businesses that are here that are keeping the money here, right? And that's for me is true economic growth. And I'm looking at the economic ecosystem that we're creating as a community or what we should be, right? And so for me, I'm looking at, okay, how do we keep these businesses going? How do we keep them thriving to the point that they're now paying their employees that hopefully live in our community, right? And so then our community people that are working in these businesses, they're going to go and spend money at other businesses in our community or our community grocery store or different things like that, right? And hopefully they have a house. And that house is also gaining property tax because they're paying for that, right? So I'm looking at the whole impact and the ripple effect of each individual and as a business as a whole. But if you're going to then food trucks opportunity to come in for $1 a day, that obviously draws, which is awesome, but you're giving them this opportunity and that money,
Beyond
we see it.
opportunity,
Yes,
it's
we pay a little bit
advantage.
of sales
It,
tax, but then we watch that truck and those people that don't live in our community go and take all of that money that was given in our community and go out of our community. That money is gone. Peace out, sauerkraut.
Yep. Well, and I think a lot of people don't understand the small town economics of it, right? They don't
Right.
understand that one bit. And unfortunately, now some of these people are holding positions of government where they have some semblance of authority over the rest of the people in the town. And it's just, you know what? I'm
Well,
not even going to say that it was unfortunate. I think it was fortunate that it happened to you, Jamie, because I don't know that anyone else in that town that it happens to handles it the way that you have handled it and are handling it currently.
right. And I just want to really bring awareness and tell show the people like this is impact, right? How are we creating these ecosystems for these businesses to thrive, for the people to thrive? And the thing is when we put our eggs into baskets that are leaving our community or, think that they've got a bunch of money or whatever, I don't even know. I just think our community members could be more educated by the people that are running the community if the people that are running the community actually had the education, right? It's like, can we invest to educate the people that are sitting in these spots? And I think that I talked actually to Scott. I forgot his last name, darn it. He's a really nice gentleman, but he is with legislation. And he contacted me about some of this stuff and how I felt about it. And we had a conversation like, how do these people in our communities get voted in to these positions? And they really don't understand economic development. They really don't understand government or any of this, right? So we're getting these people that are kind of uneducated. And
Underqualified candidates for sure, but in a small community, right? You get what you get.
yeah, people, I mean, that's a lot to be asked of a human, to be taking these positions. And most people that, are probably qualified aren't going to be in communities such as Lead.
Well, and to be a public servant isn't what it's cracked up to be in so many ways. So the people who have the
Right.
education have no incentive to go into public service, right? And the people that want to serve really have no business being in service because who they really want to serve is themselves in one way
Right.
or another. So,
Ego driven, yeah.
yeah, Jamie, what a wild finish to the spring, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just nutty.
Absolutely.
And here we are now, summer's in full swing. 4th of July celebrations coming up. I know you got a big one up there at Lotus Up on top of the hill.
Yeah.
Has always been a joy to celebrate up there. That's many great memories for me growing up, watching the fireworks over the open cut. You got the best view in the house by a long shot. I'm just so happy to you. Happy birthday to Lotus Up, by the way.
Thank
You
you.
snuck that
Thank
in on
you.
me. I'll have to
Yeah,
bring you a cake the next time I see you.
I'll take it. I'll take it, baby.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that things have worked out the way that they have. It was looking grim, and I really watched my friend, and I know we haven't been friends for very long, but I think we both care very deeply for each other. And to watch
Absolutely.
so many of these things happen to you in such a short time, and obviously, our listeners know that I've lived a lot of those things and have had dump trucks of stress and crap just dropped on me at a time. So I knew a lot of the feelings you were going through. I knew those feelings of helplessness, but you never strayed from your path. You never strayed from belief in yourself and that all of this was for some greater purpose, and have also taken the situation as a purpose in itself to raise awareness, not just about, hey, I'm a business owner and I'm kind of getting screwed over, but because that's where most people would stop, right? Like most people
Right.
would just be like, hey, look at me, I'm getting screwed here, and poor me, poor me, poor me. Where you turn it and went, hey, this isn't just affecting me. This is affecting a lot of people, and it's going to continue to affect a lot of people in the future. We need to slow down. And I think that you've raised quite a fuss in the town of Lead, and for a greater purpose than just what it means to Lotus Up, because now Lotus Up is on its way out regardless. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
it's
and
good.
I think yeah, thanks, Bella. I mean, thank you. I truly, I'm a people person. I believe in people. I believe in community, and to bring the awareness, was such a huge a point in all of this that I really wanted to help educate and have deeper conversations, right? Vulnerability about how it was affecting other people. And I had some great conversations around it, and I think that yeah, that was the point. So yeah, I believe in humans and I know that they'll do, you know, the circus will go on with one less monkey.
Well, and it sounds like you found a better circus to go be a part of anyway. And
Yeah, yeah.
that you've really, you're pulling away and disconnecting from a lot of these things that honestly have probably been holding you back without your knowledge, that have kind of just been there for a long time, right? And now that you have the awareness of it, and the situation is changing, God, I cannot wait to see what you do with the new space and the new situation. And I'm so happy to get to be here in the front row watching it every single day as it coalesces right before our very eyes.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am so excited, Bubba, about what the future holds. I mean, I start school September 1st as well, and going back to school and
Well,
education.
congratulations. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so I got accepted into the psychology program at University of Southern New Hampshire for their psychological or sorry, yeah, psychology, bachelor's degree in psychology, which I love too, because I love people.
Incredible.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm so thrilled. Congratulations to you on being
thank
accepted,
you.
and yeah, good luck with all the schoolwork. Obviously, with with Danielle's situation right now,
Yeah.
we know schoolwork all too well right now. So, Jamie,
Mhm.
always a pleasure to catch up with you.
For
All of our
sure.
listeners, thank you all for tuning in with us. Make sure you're following the podcast. We are back. We are going to be a lot more consistent with content coming out. We got some really great stuff coming down the pipeline for you all, on the YouTube, on the podcast feeds, in real life. So many great things are coming from the Get Better Together project and the Scene projects as well in general. So, Jamie, anything to add before we sign off today?
No, just keep getting better, keep having conversations, keep being vulnerable.
And that's how we get better together.
Amen.